This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
The time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song, the finest of hours.
Hello and welcome to Thursday afternoon here on Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio today with producer Jerome, who you can hear every Saturday morning with Dr. Randy Tobler. The Randy Tobler Show, Saturday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m. here on News Talk STL. And serendipitous, is that the right word for the fact that you're here on the same day that Tobler will be a guest?
Yeah, I wonder.
Is that serendipitous? Is that the proper use of that word? I'm going to say it is, right?
I hope so. It's a fun word to say.
We are going to talk to Dr. Randy Tobler this afternoon. He joins us every Thursday just after 3 o'clock. So a little less than an hour from now, we'll talk to Dr. Tobler about last night's interview, if you want to call it an interview, with MSNBC and Kamala Harris. Also, some other issues of the day regarding more information coming out about the first assassination attempt. There's, the investigations and hearings still going on, and we learned some new information again just today. So want to go over that. Also today, we are going to talk to Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks, who has been amazing, specifically when it comes to the assassination attempts, because not only is Justin a Missouri lawmaker, a Missouri representative, but before he was in politics, he was in law enforcement, and he worked on security detail for presidential visits and vice presidential visits. So he has that firsthand experience of doing this, providing that type of security, and has been able to really explain what's going on, poke holes and some of the BS information that has been spread by the media and quite frankly by the government about these things. And so it's great to have him on today on a day that we're getting more information for him to react to as well. And also we're going to talk to our gun expert today, Aaron Tarlow from Southern Armory. He's going to join us a little bit later on this afternoon. So we'll talk to Justin Sparks here in about 10 minutes. And then about 25 minutes from now, we will talk to Aaron Tarlow. So a lot going on here on a busy Thursday afternoon on Colombo and Company. Let's start with last night's interview. I didn't watch the whole thing, Jerome. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the whole thing or listen to or see any clips or any of that. But I watched a good chunk of it. I watched a lot of the reaction from it, and it is exactly what I predicted, and I think most predicted. She went to the safest space possible for her, Kamala Harris, and not just MSNBC, but Stephanie Ruhle, specifically Stephanie Ruhle at MSNBC, who conducted the interview with Kamala Harris last night. There's no bigger Kamala Harris defender in the mainstream media than Stephanie Ruhle. So the fact that anybody would ever try to act like or present this as some unbiased, journalistic, integrity-filled interview is ridiculous, and we got exactly that. I want to read you a couple of quotes from Stephanie Ruhle after the interview happened. So just to give you an idea of just how biased and one-sided this whole thing was. So, like I said, it was softball after softball when it came to the questions last night, and she didn't press. There were no follow-ups. There was no pressing. There was no fact-checking.
Of course.
Like the famous fact-checking that, we've been talking so much about since the debate, since the ABC debate. None of that happened. And then it wasn't just contained to the interview. After the interview, Stephanie Ruhle, the interviewer, is now becoming the interviewee and going around to various shows on MSNBC last night talking about how great Kamala Harris is and how great the interview was. Like she's being interviewed about the interview and raving about it. MSNBC host Stephanie Ruhle showered Vice President Kamala Harris with praise and repeatedly shrugged off her non-answers following last night's interview. After the interview, Ruhle said that while Harris, quote, didn't want to go deep on her plans with tariffs, she claimed the VP had a, quote, serious plan as it relates to manufacturing. She just didn't want to talk about it. She's got it. Don't worry, guys. I talked to her. I know she didn't answer my question, and I know she didn't give us any details, but I do know that she does have a plan.
Very convincing.
And it's very serious. So she said that the vice president has a serious plan as it relates to manufacturing. Also, quote, if you think about the big economic legislation that has been passed in the last 4 years, I don't know what she's talking about there. We have actually seen billions of dollars being put to work, thousands of jobs being created, much of which are in red states and red counties, bringing manufacturing jobs back. So what I think she's talking about here, because none of that happened. None of that is true. There's not been the Biden-Harris administration has not turned around the economy and created a bunch of new jobs. They did get the benefit of the country coming out of a pandemic and going back to work. Mm-hmm. And that was addressed in the interview yesterday. And so I think what Stephanie Ruhle is talking about here is the same BS line that we have heard from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Democrats for 4 years, that when Donald Trump left office, the unemployment and the economy and everything was the worst in human history. And it's because we were in a pandemic. Before that, he was killing it. Mm-hmm. And then they took credit when restaurants and businesses just simply opened back up. They acted like they created a bunch of new jobs when people just went back to their old job after being closed during the pandemic.
You're telling me that if you're allowed to conduct business, the economy gets better?
Yeah, right, exactly. So I'm pretty sure that that's what she is saying here when she says that we've seen billions of dollars being put to work, thousands of jobs being created, much of which were in red states, and bringing manufacturing jobs back. I'm 99% sure that she's just talking about people going back to work after the pandemic, or the other 1%. If I'm wrong about that, she's just lying. Those are the only two options. So, and again, this isn't even the interview. This is just Stephanie Ruhle fawning over Kamala Harris after the interview. Jeez. She goes on to say, Stephanie Ruhle, after the interview last night, she goes on to say, quote, what I didn't hear from her was divisive language. Imagine if I was sitting against, not with or talking to. It's always, just the words are so combative and defensive. Imagine if I was sitting against Donald Trump. Imagine the language he would be using. Please. And just the fact that we were talking about collaborative inclusivity. I don't know. Vote for her or don't vote for her. But isn't it great to just have a positive conversation right now? What? This is the interviewer that we are supposed to believe just conducted a serious sit-down interview with the Vice President of the United States, who is also asking to be the President of the United States. We're not done. She admitted that Harris didn't answer a question about how she would get the funding for her ambitious economic agenda without Congress, but quickly defended her by saying Trump would balloon the deficit significantly, quote, significantly bigger than Vice President Harris will. So, again, regarding a moment of the interview that some people have called out because Stephanie Ruhle asked a question about the economy. Kamala Harris didn't give an answer. Stephanie Ruhle didn't follow up. And she's saying, well, yeah, you're right. She didn't answer the question, but Trump would be worse. Like, what is going on? One more, maybe two more. She further shrugged off Harris's non-answers, referring to an exchange she had about the Democrats' criticism of Trump's tariff proposals while also implementing their own tariffs under the Biden administration. She said, quote, "It's complicated, right? We're a country of 330 million people. Our economy is complicated in the same way. Is the economy good or bad? It totally depends. It totally depends. So tariffs, if used in the right places, can work. And one could watch that and say, well, she didn't give a clear, direct answer. But that's okay because we're not talking about a clear or direct issue."
What? You've got to be trolling me right now. She did not say that.
Yes. Is that unbelievable?
Jeez.
Is that unbelievable? She's, first of all, the fact that she's being interviewed about an interview it already just shows you how desperate and pathetic MSNBC is, that they air the interview and then they interview the interviewer, and the next, I think, 2 shows.
Wow.
Chris Hayes, I think, is one of them, and then I don't know, the other show is called like Washington Report or something like that. So that just shows you how much they were into themselves because they got Kamala Harris, to be on their network, and they're interviewing the interviewer for hours after the interview happens. But for Stephanie Ruhle to say that, like, to say the words, "You're right, she didn't give us a clear answer, but this is not a clear, but that's okay because this isn't a clear issue."
Oh my goodness, man. What have we got ourselves into?
There's so much wrong with that line of thinking. There's so much wrong with trying to make that okay or try to tell voters that that's okay, that the leader of your country, the most important person on earth when it comes to governments, doesn't have to have plans or good answers because things are hard. It's hard. Would you be ready? If you were president right now, would you be ready? It's hard, right? So it's okay if she's not ready because it's hard. Like, that's where this is NBC News trying to tell Americans that this is okay.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I want to get more thoughts on this as we go through the afternoon. Also, last night, Kamala Harris, outside of the interview, also made another appearance at a rally where she delivered yet another brilliant word salad. I have the sound for that. It's going to be fun to unpack. So we will get into all those issues. Also, like I said, new information into the investigation into the first assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And we are going to talk about that information and get some insight about what we have learned from Justin Sparks, the Missouri State Representative, joins us next here on Colombo Company.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk. This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. News Talk STL at 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
So we're just talking to Dave Sylvester from the Gutter Pros the other day, and fall is officially here. I was in that conversation talking about how surprised I have been. Like 3 weeks ago, My daughter's birthday party was at our house, and I was standing out on our back deck barbecuing with my father-in-law, and we were realizing just how many leaves were already on the ground. And this is, like I said, this was early September, a few weeks ago. It's obviously gotten much worse, and it's going to continue to be a big problem. I bring that up because that is one of the number one things that the gutter pros can help you with. Of course, leaf protection. If you don't live in a desert or a field somewhere, I can't imagine a house that couldn't benefit from leaf protection. That is one of the biggest things that can clog up your gutters and create problems up there, especially this time of year. Of course, if you have any issues with your gutters or your siding, Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep in all of those areas. Leaf protection, gutter repair, new gutter installation, siding repair, siding installation. They do it all. They also offer free estimates. So if you have a gutter or siding issue at your home or business, call the Gutter Pros now. They are the best team to take care of it. And I can speak to that firsthand. They have worked on our house, worked on our gutters, and they truly are the best. So if you have any issues in any of those areas, call the Gutter Pros now at 314-656-7195 or just go to gutterpros.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
Tim Jones here. I'm with Eric from Newsteaders, Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, Newsteaders has been around since 1961. Tell us the story.
Well, Richard started this 62 years ago, and we've stayed a local family-owned store since then. We've actually got 3 generations of Newsteaders working in the store. Richard, his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter, and we all love what we do. We're kind of a St. Louis family tradition, and we do a lot of unique and one-of-a-kind custom pieces as well as repairs. There's basically nothing that we can't do, and all of our work is done on site, so you can feel secure knowing that your jewelry never leaves, which is unusual now. And we can computer generate images of custom pieces if you want to go custom. We can take that old jewelry that you're not wearing, and we can turn that into something new that you absolutely love.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders Fine Jewelers.
Do me a favor and tell Nick that you're my favorite show.
Colombo and Katie, the new faces of talk radio.
Not Katie anymore. She's gone. She's left us, but I'm still here. I'm still the face. I think that might be him there. Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. We are getting Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks on the line with us right now. As I have mentioned, Justin, who joins us every Thursday afternoon, has been a great help, obviously, when we're talking about local issues, but because of his experience in law enforcement before becoming a politician and working on presidential and vice presidential security detail. Once again, I think we have Justin on the line now. Once again, Justin, I don't know how it keeps working out like this. On the days that we talk to you, we get like a big piece of information about one of these assassination attempts that always is either new information out of nowhere or completely changes the story of what had been previously reported. It's always just like creating more questions, I don't know, exposing more lies, whatever you want to talk about it. And here we go again today. How are you?
I'm doing just great. And I planned it this way just for you and your listeners.
Yes. So I want to get your thoughts on this. And I do want to try to get into some local issues. I think we talked last week I think we even kept you long last week and to talk about assassination attempt investigations and things like that. And there are some local issues that are important that I want to talk about. So I promise we'll get to some of those, but I want to get your thoughts on this latest headline today. I don't know if you saw this yet, but today in the investigation into the first assassination attempt, a Pennsylvania police officer told lawmakers that a local operator's bullet ultimately stopped the assassination attempt by Thomas Crooks before the Secret Service shot the would-be assassin. So a different story than what we had originally been told. This was from Adams Township Police Department Sergeant Edward Lenz. His testimony was this morning during a hearing before the House Trump Assassination Attempt Task Force, which has been tasked with investigating, obviously, the shooting that day. Sergeant Lenz said, quote, across the 2 counter assault teams, the quick reaction force, 3 sniper teams, and support personnel, we provided total manpower of 44 persons, exceeding the number requested by the Secret Service. That right there is already, I think, interesting. He goes on to say, quote, at no point during the planning process was Butler County ESU asked to secure the AGR complex. That's the building that Crooks was on, nor the perimeter surrounding that area. At no point during the planning process was Butler ESU asked to deploy a sniper team to the roof of the ARG complex. He goes on to say, when it became clear that a threat was on the roof of the AGR building, an operator with Butler County ESU exited the red barn from behind the stage where Trump was speaking and monitored the ARG building area. He quickly identified where the shots were coming from, located the shooter, and fired 1 round at Crooks with his rifle, which caused the shooter to recoil and briefly fall out of sight. He then said that, quote, he did this less than 6 seconds after the shots began at a distance of approximately 110 yards. A Secret Service counter sniper then fired the fatal shot that neutralized Crooks on the roof of the AGR building, where he was perched with a direct line of sight to Trump. Now, this is interesting because what the FBI and Secret Service had previously told us was that Crooks was taken out by a Secret Service counter sniper, and that the fatal round that killed Crooks was fired approximately 15 and a half seconds after Crooks began shooting. So with no mention of any local officer firing a shot or getting involved in that exchange or process in any way. So 1, the local officer did shoot. 2, it was after 6 seconds, not 15 and a half seconds. And it was actually the local officer who identified and stopped the shooting. And I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but I mean, you can speak to this more than we can. That's nearly 10 seconds earlier than what was reported, which I think in a shooting situation, 10 seconds is everything. So what do you make of this new information? And again, to me, it's just another example of not getting the truth from the government about this, initially, and we're still learning and getting, more questions and answers as time goes on.
Yeah, it just confirms what we've already been talking about. I'm not surprised by this information because I already knew it. And as you can imagine, Tony, among the law enforcement circles, particularly the law enforcement that has been tasked with protecting presidents in the past, we have our group chats, right? So I actually knew pretty quickly. I actually knew that it was a local guy that shot him and disabled the weapon, and just was interested to see how long that was going to take before the information came out. This always happens in the law enforcement community. because the guys on the ground doing the real work are the ones that are sharing information amongst each other. And typically your command staff, if you've got good command staff, then they're going to come out with that information in the earnest object of full transparency. Crappy command staff and weak leaders who have been chosen because they're weak and will do anything that they're told to do will not. They will try to hide for political purposes. So that brings us to the most important question, the most important issue, and the most important conclusion that I think that we can make now. At least I won't speak for anybody else but for myself. The Secret Service is a compromised organization. The FBI and other three-letter organizations, I believe, in our country are compromised organizations. Some would call them corrupt. I think there is a level of corruption in those organizations at the very top. I think that corruption and the compromised nature of the Secret Service has become pervasive. These organizations did not used to be politicized to the level and degree they are now. This has happened since 2016. A intentional politicization of law enforcement at our highest levels. Essentially, the ends justify the means. Because this is Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is a populist, threatens the natural order of the administrative state in our country at the highest level, the fourth branch of unelected government, he has to be removed. He can't be allowed to assume power again. The fact that he assumed power originally in the first place was, I believe, a complete fluke in the system. And because this attitude has become pervasive, essentially, well, because it's Donald Trump, the rules don't apply, or different rules apply, different laws apply with documents. You've talked about this on your show before. We've all talked about this on our show. Because of this attitude has, at the very highest level, led to a situation in which a president has intentionally been put in harm's way, has intentionally, this is my own conclusion, has intentionally been put at risk. The question now is, what do we do about it?
That's a great question. And I think I asked you that question last week. What did you expect ultimately to come out of this? And unfortunately, I think your answer, maybe it's changed, but it was kind of what I am thinking also, is that nothing if there is a new administration installed in November, and if Republicans were to take over the Senate, I mean, obviously there's going to be change because of just the change in policies and attitude and direction and all of those things. But on the current path that we're on, with the current group that's there and the investigations that are happening, I don't have any faith of anybody being held accountable, or anybody being held to account for any mistakes that they made. Do you?
No, I don't. It's even worse, actually. I've heard unsubstantiated reports of upwards of 5 assassination teams possibly in the country right now. Now, I haven't been able to substantiate that claim yet. I will continue to try to do so, but it makes sense. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. I know that our government, our own government, Mayorkas, has testified that at least 20 known terrorists have crossed the southern border and are no longer being monitored by our government. They have lost them. Now, that's 20 that they're admitting to, okay? These are 20 known terrorists in our country right now, and our government has no idea where they are. We now also know that the country of Iran has published a video showing essentially an AI-generated film of Donald Trump on a golf course being monitored and assassinated by a drone. Okay? This is an adversarial nation, one, by the way, that our current administration gave billions of dollars in cash to and financed their terror around the world, now making an open threat to assassinate a former president and leading candidate for president right now. This is an unbelievably dangerous time that we're living in. And I'm just telling you, my instinct says this isn't over. My instinct says that Donald Trump's life is in danger.
Yeah, and I don't know why, and I don't know why anybody would think that is a, you know, a, a false statement, or like being, overdoing it with concern, because we've seen two very, very close, way too close assassination attempts in just a matter of weeks. So I don't know why anybody would not feel that exact same way. I want to ask you about one other thing that stood out to me in this testimony today by the local officer there, about how the local departments provided more manpower than was asked for by the Secret Service. Because we've heard that, there's less manpower because of, whatever concerns, people being, the department being spread out, or budget concerns, or whatever it is. So, we've heard that as one of the possible, like the laundry list of various excuses that have been thrown out there, that there was, maybe less staffing, or, not as much training. Apparently they had more hands than they thought. Does that stand out to you in any way? And then also the fact that apparently the local people were not even told to look at that building or worry about that building. Is that normal, that the Secret Service would say, hey, we've got this area and this area, you guys focus on this area? Because that also seems weird to me, that they were not told to look at this building that was 100 yards away.
So, again, we're going to get into the unsubstantiated claims of, was it intentional that building was not guarded? Was it intentional? I don't know that. I think that it's certainly possible, and I think that it's at least worth asking the question, particularly because there's body cam footage of an officer on the ground after the attempt saying, I told the Secret Service they needed to post a guy there. I told them, and yet those requests were denied. He is saying that on body cam. That is publicly available in a video. You can watch it right now. Google it. He's saying, I told them when they came to do their on-site survey, when they came to do basically their walkthrough, which is exactly what they do. That's exactly what I've been on, those walkthroughs, their threat assessments. And he said, you need to post a guy there. He's saying it on body cam minutes after the assassination attempt. What does that mean? We don't know yet, because we don't have all the answers. We don't have all the evidence. But what we do have is essentially a lot of arrows pointing in the same direction. I think that we can all agree on that. And it troubles me because now we're in an environment. By the way, the local agencies are the last line of defense. They are the last line and best line of defense, because they haven't yet been compromised in the same way that the FBI, DOJ, and Secret Service have been. What does that mean? Agents that are in control and running operations that may be compromised, such as the lead FBI agent in Miami conducting the investigation into the second assassination attempt, is a known Trump hater. A known Trump hater leading the investigation. He's compromised. He should never have anything to do with that investigation. He should be disciplined, possibly even removed from his post. But see, local agencies don't have the same compromised individuals. So they come to their work saying, we're going to protect this person because this is our mission. They're mission focused. So they're actually going to do their job. And in this case, a local operator probably saved the president's life.
Wow. Just really appreciate all that in insight and information. I'm telling you, it's amazing that we keep getting more information that is not answering any questions. It's creating more questions, and we'll do everything that we can to keep the information out there, and ultimately, hopefully, at some point, hold some people to account.
But Tony, how do we do that?
By talking about it.
I'm out of turn here, but yeah, how do we do that? Because we're going to talk for a long time, and we're never going to stop talking. But at some point, the American people are going to say, "I've had enough."
Yeah, we need to talk about it, and then we need to, all of us, the ones talking about it and the ones listening, need to vote and use the power that we have, at the ballot box to insist on changes and to insist on removing the people that continue to allow all of these things to happen. We really don't have any more time. We got to talk to Aaron Tarlow from Southern Armory. There's actually gun bills, executive orders today written by the president, because they can't pass any gun laws through Congress and they can't pass any gun laws with elections. So the president has added again with executive orders today. We're going to have Aaron Tarlow from Southern Armory, our firearms expert, joining us next. Justin, thanks again for your time. I promise we are going to get into some local issues next week, and always appreciate your time and all the great insight and information, my friend. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. As I mentioned, perfect day to have Aaron Tarlow from Southern Armory on with us. We'll explain this round of executive orders targeting firearms in the United States, and we will get we'll get Aaron's thoughts on those next here on Colombo Company.
We will never be the same. The more you change, the less you feel.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Rockets and missiles firing back and forth between Lebanon and Israel. Casualties everywhere. When is it going to stop?
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
If you have not had your carpets cleaned or your home cleaned recently by the cleaning pros at Zero Res, you can take advantage of an amazing offer right now to get that taken care of. We have trusted our home with Zero Res many times over the years. They can clean any surface in your home. So carpets obviously is a big one that we talk about a lot, but also furniture, upholstery, air ducts, of course, tile. They do it all at Zero Res. And right now they have a great offer for you. Only a few days left in the month of September, which is absolutely wild. But if you book a cleaning with Zero Res in the month of September and mention the Colombo special, you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you could take $75 off an air duct cleaning if you would like that service as well. Again, all you got to do is get the appointment booked in September, so you have a few days. Make that call, mention the Colombo special, and take advantage of this offer. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus $75 off an air duct cleaning if you would like to take advantage of that as well. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forwards or backwards. It spells the same, Zero Res.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Legends of Country Rock. With Pure Prairie League. Atlanta Rhythm Section. Richie Furay from Poco and Buffalo Springfield. And Firefall. This Saturday night, the Family Arena. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Don't miss Legends of Country Rock live.
Blue Oyster Cult is back live. Friday, October 4th at the Family Arena. With special guests, Tommy DiCarlo, a former lead singer of Boston, and Jason Sheff, longtime lead singer of Chicago. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House Furniture box office, located at the Family Arena or at Ticketmaster. Blue Oyster Cult.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here. Join me every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL for a little fun with finance. We'll talk about taxes, the economy, finance, and most importantly, how to enjoy the lifestyle you deserve.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Tune in on Sunday and visit serenitynowtax.com for your free copy of my book, The New Holistic Retirement. That's serenitynowtax.com.
Serenity Now! This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. As I mentioned, the president today signing executive orders regarding gun safety, in his words, in the United States today. And that is why it is a perfect day to talk to our firearms expert, the owner of Southern Armory. Aaron Tarlow is back with us on the line. Aaron, how are you, my friend?
Oh, hanging in there. I'm going to get the young Miss Piper.
Oh, well, make sure you tell her that we all said hello. Want to get your thoughts on these executive orders that are being signed today. So Biden in his announcement said that these orders are to address, quote, emerging firearm threats, including machine gun conversion devices, which turn a pistol into a semi-automatic firearm. It doesn't really, I've read multiple stories in this. They don't say exactly what, maybe they're talking about a group of products that would possibly do that. This sounds to me like the stabilization brace that we've talked about before, which turns, because one of the things they say is which turn a pistol into a semi-automatic firearm. I don't know. When you hear that, what do you interpret that as?
I mean, he's a fool because he doesn't know the correct terminology. However, if you follow like the St. Louis Metropolitan Police, go to their page, you will see an example of what he's talking about. And essentially, China is selling the Glock switches, and that's what they go on. They go on Glocks, and it's your back plate comes off, you slide this on, and then it allows that firearm to become fully automatic, just like the Glock 18, which is the fully automatic version of it. Does the same thing. Glock 18 can function a little differently, internally, but the result is the same. When you press the trigger, it will continue to shoot as long as it has ammunition. And
so are these, would that be similar? Would that be similar to bump stocks? Is it kind of the pistol version of a bump stock, or no?
No, the bump stock is still one trigger press, one trigger press equals one shot fired. Okay. And what that device is doing is it's harnessing the recoil to allow that gun to flex. And the funny thing about bump stocks is when I was 18, 19, 20 years old and in college, we were doing the same thing. Just held the gun loose and kind of pulled it forward. And with the invention of the bump stock, now you could like shoulder the stock and do the same thing. So it was still one trigger press equals one round fired, but the switches, the Glock switches, the slang term.
Yep.
They're coming out of China, and they're getting them illegally imported. There's stuff going on. They're not manufactured here, and ATF is like trying to intercept them, from what I understand. But
are you even allowed to sell those?
No,
aren't they illegal? Aren't those Glock switches are illegal anyway, right?
They are.
So we're just now. So he's just grandstanding, basically. Like he's passing a law to outlaw something that's already illegal.
Already illegal. It's being shipped in by a foreign country. And mind you, there's a lot of stuff coming out of China that is not good for us, right? And I'm not going to get into it, but those that know. And so this is just another example of the Chinese that are they're bringing, regulated goods into our country and, poisoning the youth. And in this case, this is who's getting a hold of these block switches is these youths, and they're using them on each other, and it's causing some destruction. And I'm a Pro 2A guy. Think you need firearms to protect yourself, but the Glock switch is illegal to begin with. They've been illegal since they passed the NFA, making machine guns illegal, and China is getting them shipped in. And I know that you can buy them. However, not for me because law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to give any more information because.
So, well, and that's fine because I want to move on to another piece of the executive order, which is ghost guns is in here also. Another issue that you and I have talked about a whole lot. They are, Biden in these executive orders call out, saying that ghost guns and some 3D printed firearms are, he's targeting them with these. He says that he will call on a new task force to issue a report within 90 days on the federal capacity to detect and seize these devices, these ghost guns, as well as plans to combat the threats. Again, ghost guns are not something that's being they're not things that are being used in crimes across the country. This again is a distraction.
You have to have some technical know-how. We've discussed this at length, and I'll just sum this up really quick so we can move on to the next item. But you have to have some technical know-how to bend a receiver or mill a receiver. So when a gun doesn't have serial numbers on it, you have made that gun yourself. That means you have machining and tooling to do it. You have the technical know-how to do it and set this stuff up. This is not something you're doing with a drill in your mom's garage at 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. Okay? Maybe Piper, but we wouldn't be using a drill. I built a ghost gun. I know you can't see me, but I'm throwing up the air quotes as I drive.
Right.
I built a ghost gun in college when they became legal to build. You could literally buy the kits.
Yeah.
You could literally buy the kits. They would sell you the flat. You would have to bend the metal, temper the metal to make it hard. And you would have to put in the rivets and the trunnions. And you had to make sure all this stuff was in the right spot. This is not pressing sights on a gun.
Right.
This is not putting an extension on one of your magazines, base plate extension on a magazine. This is some serious stuff. And if it's not, and we get these guns that people have attempted to do this in the store, they forget it doesn't work. And then I look at it and I'm like, does it have serial numbers? Does it have manufacturing parts? Did you make this yourself? Yeah, I did. And I just send them away. It's not that I don't have the technical know-how or the tooling to do it. It's I don't want to get into manufacturing. This is not really a repair. This is making a firearm function that doesn't function because they jerked it up somehow.
Yep.
And
I don't mean to cut you off, Aaron, but we're almost out of time, and I just wanted to an analogy is people that are car people. You have car collectors, and then you have like the hardcore guys that want to build their own hot rod in the garage. Right. That's the kind of firearms. Yeah. These and the stats tell you, that those guns are not being used in crimes across the country. So again, just a distraction, not anything that would actually be helping anybody, stopping any crime, or solving any problems in this country.
Are these guns showing up during the commission of crimes? And they use that commission of crimes lightly, because if you follow like a lot of these metropolitan police departments, like I do, you just kind of want to have your pulse on stuff. They are finding these Glock switches. They are finding the ghost guns, quote unquote, but they're not showing up at the crimes you would think. They're showing up in the possession of individuals who are selling drugs, prostitution, and that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
This is not, I'm sure if they had the example of, look at this ghost gun that was used to shoot 4 people, they would throw it up and do it, but they can't.
Yeah.
It's just not happening.
Aaron, really appreciate it. I really appreciate the time and the insight as always. This is why Southern Armory is the place to go if you are buying your first firearm, if you're adding to your collection. It's a community out there at Southern Armory, a mile east of 270, 9901 Watson Road, and everything at southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com. Aaron Tarlow, always appreciate your time, my friend. We will talk to you again very soon. Have a great rest of your afternoon. And tell Piper we said hello.
I will.
Thanks, dude. Very much. Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot. That is Aaron Tarlow. And one of their focuses there at Southern Armory is education, especially if it's your first firearm. They are the place to go. Again, learn more at southernarmory.com. All right, keep it right here. We are going to talk to the great Dr. Randy Tobler next on Colombo Company.
Kirkwood Popco. Family owned and popping up smiles in the heart of Kirkwood. From party favors to teacher gifts, Kirkwood Popco has you covered. Tins, bags, even popcorn bars. They've got it all. Find them at 108 North Kirkwood Road and kirkwoodpopco.com. Are you ready to stand against tyranny, strengthen the conservative movement, and enjoy tasty barbecue? Don't miss the 4th annual Missouri Young Republicans Freedom Fest Barbecue. Join us Saturday, October 12th at the St. Louis County GOP headquarters in Fenton. We've got an exciting lineup of invited speakers and mouthwatering barbecue. RSVP now at stlyrs.com. That's stlyrs.com. Presented by News Talk STL and Missouri Young Republicans.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
Attentive food lovers. Craving authentic kosher cuisine? Head to Nate's Kosher Deli in the heart of Creve Coeur's culinary scene. Formerly Cones, Nate's is now under new ownership, offering an even greater selection of kosher items, from mouth-watering sandwiches to gourmet meats and fresh baked goods. There's something for everyone. Call 314-333-6283 or visit nateskosherdeli.com. Experience the difference at Nate's Kosher Deli today. And don't forget to mention News Talk STL sent you.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. In Tampa, Florida, Roger Schulman, news director at WGUL Radio, shares his thoughts on the possible aftermath of Cat 3 Hurricane Helene.
Possible loss of life. Definitely will have some homes destroyed, and a lot of boats are going to be gone and never to be seen again.
The storm could grow to a Category 4 hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico before landing in the Big Bend area. At a news conference, New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he did nothing wrong.
I look forward to defending myself and defending the people of this city, as I've done throughout my entire professional career.
Adams indicted on charges alleging he took illegal campaign contributions and bribes from foreign nationals in exchange for favors that included helping Turkish officials get fire safety approvals for a new diplomatic building in the city. FBI agents seized Adams' phone early today, hours before the indictment was made public. Also at townhall.com, correspondent Hayapan Jawani reports on Oklahoma executing a man for a 1992 killing.
Oklahoma has executed a man for a shooting death during a robbery, despite a recommendation from the state's parole board that the governor spare his life. 52-year-old Emmanuel Littlejohn received a 3-drug lethal injection. Republican Governor Kevin Stitt declined to commute his sentence to life in prison without parole. Littlejohn acknowledged his role in the robbery, but denied firing the shot that killed convenience store owner Kenneth Mears. I'm Haya Panjwani.
And on Wall Street, stocks finishing higher as financial markets around the world rallied again. The Dow was up 260 points. The NASDAQ composite adding 108. More at townhall.com.
What would you define your relationship with sleep? Are there challenges, trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? Here's the thing about sleep. It's the foundation of whole body health. Good sleep is both mental and physical, and our daily performance depends on it. So how do you get to your dream state? 3 words. Beam's Dream Powder, a science-backed, healthy hot cocoa for sleep. This product will single-handedly change the way you sleep for the better. Text Beam to 717-767. That's BEAM to 717-767 for up to 40% off. Other sleep aids can cause next-day grogginess, but Dream is an all-natural blend of ingredients like magnesium and melatonin to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. And for a limited time, you can get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, their science-backed healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Text BEAM to 717-767 for up to 40% off. That's BEAM to 717.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. We're dry this evening, but rain and wind from an upper-level low and the remnants of Helene, which will be weakening but pushing moisture our way Friday. So Friday's a wet day, a low of 63, a high of 69. Wind gusts to around 30 miles per hour. Some dry pockets are possible in the evening, but don't completely count on it. At least be prepared for some light showers. Saturday, a lower chance, but a chance for a few showers, 40%, breezy, 74 for the high. And then on Sunday, 76 and a 30% chance for a couple showers. Cloudy skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Fox News commentary.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is solving the state's biggest problem. Just kidding. He's just banning plastic bags. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013, 800-444-2013, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
California Governor Newsom to prioritize legislation that will do absolutely nothing to solve his state's mounting problems. Enter Gavin's plastic bag ban. Starting in 2026, all plastic shopping bags will be banned in California. This doesn't sound like a new idea because California has already done this a decade ago, but it was just applicable to the thin plastic bags, not the thicker style that could be purchased. Now those are banned too. Supporters of this move say it was necessary because the previous ban didn't reduce overall plastic use. Perhaps that's due to the reality that the bans aren't working. I can't imagine living in a state so riddled with crime, homelessness, drugs, and filth, and prioritizing a ban on shopping bags. Tents and needles are apparently fine. Just don't whip out a plastic shopping bag, my friends. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
The Democrats have been in charge of the country for 12 of the last 16 years.
This is about facts over fantasy. It's about record over rhetoric.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Jerome today. And speaking of producer Jerome, he is the producer of a wonderful show on the weekends here at News Talk STL that you may be familiar with. a newcomer to St. Louis media, one of the new kids on the block, Dr. Randy Tobler, who you can hear every Saturday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Jerome is the producer of that show, and Dr. Tobler joins us on the line right now. Doc, how are you, my friend? And of course, not a newbie.
I am doing so well. You just can't believe it. It's great to be here for the first time on News Talk STL. Thanks for inviting me in, Tony.
You bet. So, Doc, there's so much to talk about. I wanted to go back to at the beginning of the show. We talked a little bit about the interview last night, Kamala Harris's interview with Stephanie Ruhle on MSNBC. It was exactly what I and I'm sure you and everybody else predicted. Full of softballs. No information, no follow-ups, no fact checking, but even worse. And I read a bunch of these quotes earlier in the show. I recommend people go back to the podcast and check it out if you missed any of it. But Stephanie Ruhle did the interview, and then she was interviewed on multiple shows last night on MSNBC, providing even more coverage for Kamala Harris. For example, she said, after the interview, she was on one of the shows, and she said that Kamala Harris may have not had a good answer for what I think it was the economy. Like, didn't have a good detailed answer about her plan for the economy, but that's okay because it's a complicated issue. So it's a complicated, difficult issue. So it's going to take complicated, difficult approaches, and it's okay that she hasn't got all that put together yet. Like, not the interview wasn't bad enough. We have to stay on the air and continue to provide cover and defend the vice president after that interview. What did you make of the whole thing last night?
No, I mean, she basically said that the only way to answer these complex issues, you can't be direct. I think it was direct and decisive, or it was something, but I think she used the word direct answers. You can't do that. She was not only was it not wrong to do that, it was absolutely what would be expected of such a nuanced and sophisticated president. And I mean, I couldn't believe my ears. But that it's not. You're not surprised, but you remain to be so disappointed.
Yes.
That we've come to that, where media, people who claim to be journalists, claim to be media people. She threw a couple of, they're not tough questions, because they're questions that Kamala knew would be coming the minute that Joe Biden stepped down, and they started working on her answers. And then she didn't ask any follow-up to the tough questions that Kamala answered in her, either word salad or I grew up in a middle-class family answer. And, it's like, what the heck? And then saying, no, these are complex issues. And you just can't be direct when you answer those. Oh, yeah, right. Okay,
yeah, which is so, as you said, it's so disappointing, and it's so backwards from everything that we have ever seen in a presidential election and then within the media. You demand answers. You expect answers. You want to hear the plans, and you expect people running for president to have a developed platform with the path forward on these various issues. Not only does Kamala Harris not have any of that, but we're being told by the media that it's okay that she doesn't have any of that, and she's still the best person for the job. Here's the specific quote that just in case people didn't hear this, what we were talking about. This was Stephanie Ruhle talking after the interview yesterday. Stephanie Ruhle is the one who conducted the interview with Vice President Harris, and they were specifically talking about Donald Trump's tariff proposals and how Kamala Harris did not have an answer or a plan in that area whatsoever. And Stephanie Ruhle said, well, it's complicated, right? We're a country of 330 million people. Our economy is complicated. In the same way, is the economy good or bad? It totally depends. So tariffs, if used in the right places, can work. And one could watch and say, well, she didn't give a clear, direct answer. But that's okay, because we're not talking about a clear or direct issue. Wow. It's okay that she didn't answer my question because my question was hard. I mean, we are in bizarro world, Doc. It's gotten so bad.
Yeah, it is in a way brilliant advocacy under the guise of journalism. You have to give them credit.
Yeah.
You have to give these journalists credit. Because not only they really did, she accomplished two things with that interview with, was it Chris? That was one of her, but she did two things.
She was on two interviews. She was on two MSNBC shows last night. One of them was Chris Hayes. I don't know if that was the Chris Hayes show that she gave that one on.
I think that was Chris Hayes.
The one prior to it also.
So she accomplished two goals under the veil and sort of the opacity of being a journalist, allegedly. She at the same time elevated Harris, because after all, only Harris can reach the high bar that a sophisticated, complex, non-Walmart shopping, non-deplorable journalist can raise. Okay, so first of all, she met our very high bar.
Mm-hmm.
And at the second time, it's sort of that backhand way of criticizing us deplorables and everyday people who sit across the table from one another and say, man, my grocery bill's too darn high, and I want someone to do something about it. And I want them to start drilling, baby, fracking, baby, frack, because my gas is too high, right?
Yeah.
And we expect us, but you understand, it was basically, those knuckle dragging, Bible toting, gun slinging idiots say, yeah, come on, they're educated people. The polls say so, after all. So come on. I mean, you idiots, you're following Trump. Come on, get on the Harris train and be like us journalists who know everything. And we're so enlightened. It's a renaissance in America. No, we're the morning in America, not Ronald Reagan.
They are literally part of the campaign team at this
point.
And I also more and more understand after seeing that interview last night, and then obviously what we're talking about, the fallout from it or the reaction to it. But we keep hearing about, and whether you believe this or not is totally a personal opinion. I do not whatsoever. We keep hearing that there's been Harris's popularity has surged in recent weeks, and that her poll numbers all of a sudden have turned around, and she's become this very popular candidate, whereas for 3.5 years, she was the only one with a lower approval rating than Joe Biden. So I don't buy that there has been this popularity surge, but if there was any, I can totally see why they are not doing interviews and they are not doing press conferences, because every time she does one, it becomes more and more obvious that she has that she is an empty suit. She has no answers, and she has no policies or paths forward if she is elected.
Well, look, I think we proved with Barack Obama and before him, Bill Clinton, that style and vibe matters a whole lot. And it's sort of it's a popularity contest now. It's really a celebrity sweepstakes anymore, because the folks just aren't paying attention to policy, except that, frankly, I agree with the journalist at one point. People should pay more attention to detailed and demand more detailed policy specifics from both camps, but they don't. And so it becomes, who's more entertaining, who's more persuasive, who has the best body language, who's cool.
Who's cooler? Who's cool?
Okay, that's fine. But the other point is that it's gaining things, and it's gaining. I mean, Obama was there, and now they're doing it with Harris. Look, if Tony Colombo promotes himself as like, hey, I hope you listen to the show. I've got a great show for you today. We're going to have a special guest, and no one else would make it, so we brought Tobler on. But other than that, it's a great show, and I'll do a great job. And okay,
were you listening? That's exactly what I said.
So people know when Colombo's promoting his show that, okay, that's Colombo promoting his show. But if Randy Tobler promotes his show, and by the way, tell your mom to put the check in the mail. Okay, she's a little late this week. But if I do that, or if any one of your other colleagues there, or a listener calls up, that has, let's be honest, it has more impact when other people say good things about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now Harris doesn't need to say anything because she's got other people just being great cheerleaders and ambassadors for her. They ought to report, to the Federal Election Commission that they're making, campaign contributions in my book.
I couldn't agree more. And I also 1000% 1,000% agree with you that more than ever, it's about style and vibe and who's cool and who connects. I think that that's why Donald Trump won his first presidential election in 2016, because he did have that vibe, that coolness, that, that celebrity where Hillary Clinton was just extremely unlikable and didn't have any of those things. So,
but she did have the pantsuits after all.
She
Come on
did,
now, give her some credit
but
there.
man, that she did not have. It should have been, with all the popularity of Barack Obama, rolling from that, the Democrat honestly should have just ran right through that election, no matter who it was. And it took somebody like Hillary Clinton who's so unlikable that she couldn't even motivate Democrats to go out and vote, to hand that election to Donald Trump. It was a very different Donald Trump in 2016. Now he didn't have all
doubt
the
about it.
power.
I think he's beginning to regain some of that. Don't you think?
Yes, I totally agree. What my question was going to be is that, do you believe that Kamala Harris is gaining or has any of that vibe, that coolness about her? Because again, I think that the more she talks, my opinion here, the more we see her, the more she talks, the more interviews she does, the less cool she is, and how annoying and vacant of a person she is becomes apparent to people. I don't think she's got that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I've got to be delicate here. To people that watch The View, she is absolutely hitting on all 8 cylinders.
Okay.
Because it's all about happy fluff talk, and and there's really nothing of substance, and just a bunch of gals sitting around, talking. And I think that does appeal. And I keep saying that she's very telegenic and she's very emotive. And oh man, this is going to get me in trouble. My wife has said this. Okay, this is not Randy speaking. I'm channeling Helene here. Okay, she validated this. She said, women are just. She's been reading some C.S. Lewis theologically, and C.S. Lewis writes about why women are the anchor of the household and are the ones who will run in front of a car to protect their baby, and and so forth, because they're emotionally driven, and that can be a very positive thing, right? It's very emotionally driven. They will go to the mat to defend their child and whatever from the burglar. Okay, and I think there's a certain amount of emotiveness that comes across to a lot of women. Frankly, I really think it does, because you'll see women in her audience just nodding with her, and boy, it's when she's word salad. The men are going like, hey, we got a problem, we got to fix it, because that's what men do, right? I see a problem, got to fix it. And so they can't tolerate that. They just can't tolerate her distraction and her obstruction and her deflection. But I really think she does speak to a certain fairly wide lane of people, and maybe some men, who are just all about fluff and this sort of professorial. She's trying to be professorial. If you've ever had a real professor, you'd know she's not. But whatever.
Trying to be.
But I think she speaks to some people.
Yeah. So I actually have a perfect example of that. I got a couple minutes left here with Dr. Randy Tobler, and I wanted to play this. So this is also from last night. She was speaking. Kamala Harris was speaking at the Economic Club of Pittsburgh, where she outlined her economic agenda as the Democratic presidential nominee during her speech, and she emphasized the need to guard the spirit of American inspiration. So here is Kamala Harris last night talking about her plan, her economic agenda, if she were to be elected president. Let's hear this economic agenda.
We need to guard that spirit. We have to guard that spirit. Let it always inspire us. Let it always be the source of our optimism, which is that spirit that is so uniquely American. And let that then inspire us by helping us to be inspired to solve the problems that so many face, including our small business owners.
Well, I'm sold. What a great plan, Doc.
Right. And think about it, though. You could have taken any portion of any one of those sentences and put it on one of those inspirational things with like a team of rowers winning the race. And it's like, life is good if you row harder, and that kind of thing. And you see those kind of things hanging mostly on women's walls. You don't see a lot of guys with that kind of stuff, right? The guy has the Cardinals, whatever, the soccer team on his wall. And again, a lot of women are, if you look at the Facebook, and I'm thankful for this, because when I've been in valleys in my life, I love looking at the Facebook posts that have inspirational Bible quotes and stuff. But I guarantee you, if you did a study, most of those are being posted by women, right?
Yeah.
And thank God for that emotional side, because we're as emotional as a 2x10. We just know that's not us, okay? So, and she's always very emotive. It's always very dramatic. The hands are going, and she's nodding, and then she's cocking her head, and that speaks to a pretty wide swath of the voters.
I don't know about wide. I agree with you that it does connect with some, but, and maybe, my family owns a small business, a printing company. It's owned by my mom, female owned. The day-to-day ran by my wife. So, she's the boss there. And so small business owners that want to hear this economic plan, this way that Kamala Harris is going to protect small business owners. And I guarantee you that my wife or my mom would not be nodding along to that going, oh yeah, this sounds like,
no.
You know what I mean?
I should have added an adjective there. Discerning women will laugh at that. They will puke. They will call me for a prescription to stop the nausea and vomiting because they can read through it. But non-discerning women will not get that. It's
I think the more she talks, I think the more she talks, the more, like, even the people that like that kind of stuff, that when they realize that is literally all they get from her is this word salad talking in circles, that I think I think she's connecting with less and less people the more she does these type of things.
It becomes a parody. I think we all appreciate an occasional profundity, whether it comes from a man or a woman.
Yeah.
And there's a certain limit. And then after that, you say, this is like that old Saturday night. Remember the regular feature on Saturday Night Live, like Deep Thoughts?
Yes, by Jack Handy. Jack Handy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Deep Thoughts with Jack Handy.
Yes.
It was son of a bunch
you know what?
nothingness.
There's a bit there. Somebody needs to bring back Deep Thoughts with Kamala Harris for sure.
There you go.
I mean, that one was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, how many times did she say the word inspiration and guard the spirit, whatever she was talking about? I got one more here. I'm not going to play. I don't have the sound, but one more here from last week. She was speaking. This was at the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute's annual leadership conference in Washington, D.C. Harris was speaking about providing families with the necessary resources so that parents can raise their children well. So again, this is supposed to be her plan, or her talking about providing families with resources to raise their children. And she said, quote, "I grew up understanding the children of the community are the children of the community. And we all should have vested interest in ensuring that children grow up with the resources they need to achieve their God-given potential."
Yeah, well, between Hillary Clinton's "It Takes a Village" and Kamala Harris's "Community," all I can say is the next Trump slogan hat ought to say, move forward, unburdened by Kamala Harris.
Unburdened. Yeah, we all need to be unburdened by this administration. Last question, Doc, about that. We did a story yesterday about the Fox News put out their most recent power ranking about the presidential election, but also the elections across the country, saying that the Republicans have the edge in winning the Senate at this point in November. The House is still a toss-up, and basically so was the presidential race. As it stands right now, Doc, and I know we're almost out of time here, so just the real quick,
Sure.
how do you feel at this moment in time, nearing the beginning of October, about the Republicans, about, not just Donald Trump's chance to win the presidency, but the path and the momentum that the Republicans have to also maybe take back the Senate and retain the House?
Well, I'm gonna throw in with Gallup pollsters who are saying that historically, well, at least with the presidential race, political leanings, just in terms of the opinion of the party and who can best handle things. It's clearly Republican in the Gallup poll at this time. That has been one of the most, and even lesser, but sort of political environmental metrics. Not asking people what is your specific topic, but who can handle this or that better. On all counts, people tend to say they're leaning towards the Republican position. That's been a powerful predictor. So as of today, I think it might be Trump. I'm just worried about any October surprises to come out. And but on the other hand, I think J.D. Vance is going to clean Tim Walz's clock, and that's going to propel the ticket forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am so much looking forward to the vice presidential debate this coming Tuesday night. We'll talk a little bit more about that because we've got a couple fun plans for Tuesday night here at News Talk STL that we will fill you in on in just a moment. Doc, thanks. Went a little long there. Really appreciate you hanging in there with us. And, of course, you can hear Dr. Randy Tobler every Saturday, 6 to 9 a.m., the Randy Tobler Show here on News Talk STL, and every morning on the Eagle there in Columbia. Doc, as always, really appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your day, my friend.
Enjoyed it. We'll see you.
Thank you. All right. We will talk a little bit about the vice presidential debate and a very cool event, our watch party that you can be a part of. We will fill you in on that. Also, very interesting story out of Colorado. A Colorado county has basically completely eliminated the massive homeless problem that they had in their community, and it's a drastic turnaround, and they had a plan that seemed to be the reason that this worked out. And I'm going to tell you all about it because maybe it's something that should be implemented in more places around the country, especially as we're talking about all of these things surrounding the elections. So we will fill you in on that and more next here on Colombo Company.
Because nobody's ever had crowds like Trump has had. Nobody can do it like me. Nobody.
I'm by winning. I win here and I win there. Now what?
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
If you are thinking about selling your home, the team to call is the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. They are selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller. They have so many qualified buyers right now that they guarantee to get you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so they can help you no matter where you are at in the St. Louis metro area. You've heard us talk about all of those things many times, but I cannot stress enough that if you are thinking about selling your home, even if you haven't made up your mind yet, there's all kinds of questions that you have. I mean, we just did this a couple of years ago and still cannot thank the Wallners enough, can't appreciate what Rodney and Jen did for us enough in selling our old house so quickly and for more than we ever imagined going into the process, which created such an advantage, put us in such a good place going forward, because we also had to buy our new home on the other side of things, which again, the Wallners were instrumental in providing that as well. So as somebody who, went through this process not that long ago, you have a lot of questions and you don't even know maybe if this is the right time or what can happen. Call the Wallners, have that first conversation with them. It was that meeting that we had that my wife and I realized that Rodney and Jen Wallner were the team that we wanted to work with, because you will get to know them. You'll see the experience, the work ethic. They'll tell you what to expect. There's no contracts with the Wallners either. They are completely on your side. And that's what we appreciated so much about working with Rodney and Jen Wallner. So it is still a great time to sell your house. It is still very much a seller's market out there. So if this is something you've been thinking about, you don't want to wait. You don't want to let that opportunity pass you by. And you definitely want to be working with the best team possible. And that is Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner Home Selling Team. So if you're thinking about selling your home, you need to call them now. Call them at 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
Attention off-road enthusiasts. Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet. Plus, brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit ironbearcustoms.com and mention News Talk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or patriotpowder.com. Mention News Talk STL for 10% off Patriot Powder Coating. Local experts, unbeatable quality.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
We're learning more about how those pagers shipped to terrorists were rigged to explode. We'll never know all the details, but as brilliant and precise the program was, a former CIA director is crying, "That's not fair." Let me set the stage. Because Hezbollah terrorists were afraid Israeli agents could track their phones, plot their assassination, they went back to old communication ways, pagers. But somebody, Israel, learned of the plan, and over the summer, thousands of pagers being shipped into Beirut. Somewhere along the supply line, explosives were put inside, rigged to explode when a certain page number was triggered. It targeted terrorists wearing the pagers. But former CIA Director Leon Panetta, who served under Clinton and Obama, said this is frightening when you have terrorists going into the supply chain. What the hell is next? So he's basically blaming Israel for terrorism, blaming Israel for striking back at the terrorists themselves. Leon Panetta, a reminder, consider the source. He was one of the 51 intel officers signing a letter for Biden that the Hunter Biden laptop was just Russian disinformation. That tells you everything.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Question, do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
For over half a century, Joe Bacardi's has been serving up a little taste of Italy right here in St. Louis. Family owned since 1971, we're more than just a restaurant. We're a local landmark. With 4 convenient locations, we offer something for everyone, from our famous pizzas to mouth-watering entrees and delicious salads. Dine in with a glass of wine or grab a quick carryout. Whether it's dinner for 2 or catering for a crowd, Joe Bacardi's has you covered. Visit joebacardis.com and join our loyalty program. Joe Bacardi's, where every meal ends with buon appetito.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
News Talk STL invites you to an electrifying evening at Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge for the Vice Presidential Debate Watch Party, Tuesday night. It all kicks off at 4 with Jones and Arbs broadcasting live from Johnny's. Then at 7, grab your seat for the main event as the VP candidates debate. Brought to you by Blue Sky Apparel and Promotions and UV Print Shop, Luxury Drivers STL, Freddy's Market in Webster Groves, and St. Louis Pizza and Wings in Afton. Your home for America Decides 2024. News Talk STL.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on this show, from national headlines to things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define, Sunday nights at 8.
Right here on News Talk STL.
$700 billion and $1,300 billion.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
That one never gets old. Can you play that again?
Oh, just for you? Absolutely.
$700 billion and $1,300 billion.
It literally sounds like a 4-year-old.
Seeing who can make up the biggest number off the top of their head. Absolutely. He's still president, right? I mean, he's still supposed to be running the country.
He is the president of the United States right now. At this moment, that man is running the country.
But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
I know, but good night, Mr. President. I would agree with that plan. That's a good one. All right, I'm Tony Colombo in studio with producer Jerome this afternoon, and I want to remind you that we have the vice presidential debate coming up this Tuesday. Can't believe October 1st is the date of the debate, and that is this Tuesday, the month before the election. And Dr. Tobler just was talking about the possibility of the old October surprise. We are there. We are at that point of this election season, and this is going to be a big moment. It's going to be I think an all eyes on this event, this vice presidential debate, and we are going to be out at Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge for a debate watch party, and we want you to join us. It's going to be an all evening affair. Tim Jones and Chris Harps are going to be out there broadcasting their show live this coming Tuesday. So that's from 4 to 6. You can go out and you can check that out and see the guys out there doing the show live at Johnny's. Then from 6 to 8, there will be appetizers and live preview with Tim and Chris and some others there at Johnny's Hideout. And then, of course, at 8 o'clock, the debate will begin, and it will be on every television in the building. And they said the volume will be turned up so everybody can clearly hear, and we can all watch the vice presidential debate together. We will also be carrying the debate here on News Talk STL, so you can get it right here on the radio as well. It's going to be a big night. Vice presidential debate brought to you, of course, by Johnny's Hideout, and also St. Louis Pizza and Wings in Afton, and Blue Sky Promotions and Apparel. Thanks to those sponsors, and mark your calendars for Tuesday night vice presidential debate. This is an interesting story. Colorado County has now nearly no homeless population after issuing a simple message to citizens: handouts don't help. This is fascinating. Throughout Douglas County, there are about 70 signs with a message at intersections and roadways that were once popular hangouts for area panhandlers. Each sign directs citizens to DouglasHasHeart.org, where they can redirect their donations to the Douglas County Community Foundation. The county took to print media and advertisements online to spread this message throughout the community. The Republican Douglas County Commissioner Abe Layden said of the initiative, quote, "The thought dawned on me from a common sense standpoint. I saw a lot of people, like my daughter, feeling conflicted at an intersection. If you see someone who appears to be down on their luck, it feels bad when you drive by and you want to do something. But the flip side is we all know the stories of those who maybe did not use the funds they received. We've heard all this before. We've talked about this before, but in fact, we've heard it from local organizations that work with the homeless population and provide help to people in that area that are struggling. And this is a community that had a really big homeless problem that has now been almost completely eliminated. And it's not because people stopped helping. It's because people have a clear way to help and a way to direct their donations if they want to help people in need. And I don't know. I think it just goes to show you that, the professionals, like I said, we've heard this from groups here locally that say to do the same thing. That is a better approach than we've had in other places. I just think it's a fascinating story, and one that I think people around the country, including here in our area, could learn a whole lot from. All right, that is going to do it for us this afternoon. Jerome, thanks again for all of your help this afternoon, my friend. Great to see you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And Emily will be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow at 2:00. See you then. Make sure you're subscribed to our podcast in the meantime so you don't miss anything that happens on the show. And in case you missed anything today, you can check it out on the podcast. And keep it here for the O'Reilly Report, followed by the Tim Jones and Chris Sarp Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Let the peeps go hard.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on